Takeshi and Hiroshi is a story-driven RPG by Oink Games Inc. Now, when I say RPG, I use that term very loosely. But I'll get to that in a minute. First, the story. You play as Takeshi, a middle schooler who has dreams of being a game designer. You create a game called Mighty Warrior for your little brother, Hiroshi. And if you've seen the trailer, you see that Hiroshi ends up in the hospital. Oh, this is going to be one of those tearjerker games, right? Well, I'll tell you at the end as to not spoil things now. I will say, this game is super sweet, and if you were like me, the art style is what captured my attention. The animation is entirely claymation, which is wonderfully thematic to the childlike whimsy of the game. Now, the game itself. I mentioned earlier how it's sort of an RPG. What I mean is, Hiroshi is playing the hero, and as the brother, you have to create the game as he's playing by choosing the monsters he fights. With each battle, you have to make sure you don't defeat your brother, but challenge him enough that you fill his joy meter. Honestly, it's kind of a cool concept. It's a lot more like a puzzle than an RPG. Through trial and error, you'll learn the different types of monsters. What are their strengths, their weaknesses, how much health do they have, what are their attack patterns, and so on. You'll also get a dodge and a critical strike skill for Hiroshi to help manage his health and joy. Send in too many monsters, he'll be killed. Make it too easy, he'll be bored. It's genuinely a fun balancing act. At first. There are times where you figure out what the right balanced attack would be, but there are chances the monster or Hiroshi will miss. Look, I get that's part of the RPG nature, but since it feels more like a puzzle, it is way more frustrating to deal with a random element. Imagine you are playing Tetris and you are setting up for a line piece. Well, now you have your line piece, and right before you get that glorious Tetris, the line turns into a block piece for no reason. That's the kind of frustration. I think they added these misses to 1, make it more like an RPG, which is fine, or 2, to pad out the game time because this game is incredibly short. You can finish it in 1 to 3 hours. And honestly, the only reason it might take you that long is there's a side game where you play another character's mobile game, and to their credit, it has the addiction of a mobile game. The game runs well docked and undocked, the music is really nice, and the combat sound design is cute. Well, minus the donut eating sound. Those are the crunchiest donuts of all time. Here's that spoiler from the story. Hiroshi doesn't die. In fact, it's never really said why he's in the hospital. This whole game is super kid-friendly. The story's moral, more or less, is Takeshi learns to not be as mean to his school friends. And let's all work together. So it seems like this game is really meant for the youngest of children. It's a shame because I really like the concept of reverse RPGing. It's not super fleshed out though, and it's over so quickly that even the hardest challenge isn't that hard. After you beat the game, you are able to replay the mobile game or the missions to try to beat your score. But I just didn't want to. The art is gorgeous and there is a lot of heart clearly put into the theme and story, but there isn't enough here to give this game a second thought. Maybe to some, its cutesy charm is enough to warrant the $9 price. Unless you are a very young child or a parent, I suggest try finding a playthrough of it online, or wait until it's at least 50% off. But until then, I think it's safe to ditch this game.